Hello everybody, and today I'm going to be showing you Sony Vegas and masks and how to use masks inside of Sony Vegas. Now, what is a mask? Well, I'll just give you a very quick example of that. Let's take this piece of footage here, which is down on the second track. If I click on Event, Pan and Crop, this new window pops up, and as you can see, I've got an option down here for mask. If I click that and then go to Anchor Creation Tool, what this does is allow me to effectively draw around something or just cut out or include or not include any elements that I want to. Now let's take this Dymos here. If I start just very roughly just drawing around this, and you can tell I suck at drawing. Very rough shape around that. You can see that we got options here for mode, positive. Now what positive means is that anything inside the mask is going to be shown, and we've got an option here for negative. That means anything outside of the mask will be shown. And there you go, that's it in negative mode. And if we go back to positive mode, close that down, you can see that if we were to play that forward, the only thing we'll be able to see is what's inside this thing here. Now, the very cool thing about using masks is that, coming back to this piece here, we can actually move this mask around by using our normal edit tool as we go forward. So let's say I was to move forward to say about here, and let's say I actually move that mask say up here. What's going to happen is between this keyframe here and this keyframe here, the mask is actually going to move, like so. Very easy. And if I play that through, you can see it working like that. Simple as that. Okay, so you kind of get an idea as to sort of how powerful masks can be, but let me just delete this for now, because we're not going to use this for our masking. We're going to be using this layer. And what I'm going to be using in here is effectively the hole that is created in my mind for the in-between moment there. So you see that? In between there, that sort of line is really what I want. I want to punch a hole in this area here that will create a type of transition that will be unique and something which you could really only create with something like a mask, and have that sort of level of control over it. So first thing to do is to go to your Event, Pan and Crop, like so, and select mask and go to your pen tool and firstly draw out your mask. So by using my mouse wheel, I'm just going to draw a mask in here. So I'm going to click a point there, one there, move out, and let's see, this line goes all the way, so about there. And that line comes in to about there, and yeah, that looks good. So there we are. We've now effectively punched a hole, but we don't want this to be positive. We want it to be negative, which means that everything outside of this mask is going to be shown, but because we are actually going to make this larger as it moves forward just by putting in some more keyframes or lots of keyframes, this is actually going to grow and it's going to expand. Obviously, it's a very crude example, but we can actually grow this beyond those points there. So I'm just going to do the first few animations, and then you'll kind of get the idea as to the sort of work that really you have to put into something like this. If you want something special, something unique, you've got to put the time in. But to begin with, yeah, I think we're pretty much set up there as we want it. What we might want to do also is add in some kind of a feather. So let's do an inward feather, which means that in between, or the pieces in between these lines, in between the actual mask, the inside of the mask is going to be feathered out. So we get a nice sort of smooth look to it. And let's punch that up to, say, 5. So the inside of this, it's 5 pixels inside, are going to be kind of washed out, a bit sort of blurred out. So that should work pretty well. Now then, let's move forward a few frames and start animating the size of this mask. So to do that, it's just to click on there. Nothing happens, but that means that whatever you do now with the arrow keys is linked in with that. So all you have to do is say, for example, move forward 10 frames at a time and alter the relative positions of all of your major points. So click in there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You then have a look at your mask and really see what needs to be moved. Now you can see we've already moved forward a little bit from this little insert here, so click in there, move that forward just a little bit, like so. I'm doing this very poorly, by the way, but nevertheless I think you'll get the idea quite rapidly. And because we're using a feather tool, it doesn't have to be precise, as long as we get it generally in the area that we want it. So yeah, that'll do for now. Once again, move forward 10 frames, so click on the mask layer. So that's 10 frames forward. As you can see, we've got a new keyframe down there, so obviously we can zoom in on this piece here, and you can actually see, you know, we've moved forward 0.1 of a second, so to speak, so that's okay. Come in here, once again, move the mask, and it's a little bit easier to do something like this inside of, say, After Effects, which is really a sort of dedicated program for doing sort of complex motion graphics and complicated keyframes that you can pretty much endlessly just keep moving around. But whoa, these are completely Bezier, by the way, so just be careful when you're moving them. Okay, it's looking all right. Kind of get the idea. Just keep moving forward and keep moving your relative points, and it will all come together. That's looking good. Well, I guess you guys are not going to want to watch me go through every single one of these until the end of the animation. So, through the magic of video editing, I'm going to speed up the next probably 10 minutes of my life so that you can watch me do this in super high speed. So I'll see you guys in a minute. Okay, so that's our mask done. I'm sure it looked very impressive in high-speed mode. So let's have a look and see what we've actually created here. Just want to zoom in and really get an idea of what these keyframes are. As you can see, the earlier part of the actual mask creation was, you know, you could do it every 10 frames, no problem at all. And then as soon as we zoom in here, actually just a little bit, let's have a look at this. So if you want to watch these lines here, and now, like I say, it doesn't have to be completely accurate because we are using a feather on these. So moving these forward, you can see it's the mask is growing and growing, and then it gets nice and big, and then towards the end there, obviously very, very, very fast. But the early stages, very smooth, very light. See, at this point here, you can see as it gets darker, that line there is now dark. That's effectively the impact of using the feather. And if we move that forward, you can see that dark area. That's now showing what the transition or what the mask is going to be showing. So the very dark area there, that's the bit that we're going to transist. That's the bit we're going to see in the background there. And then obviously, whoosh at the end, it just completely disappears. So what we can do is just close down event and crop, and we should pretty much just be able to watch this sort of happen over time. It's like pretty much about there should do it. So moving forward, nothing happening, and then all of a sudden we get this transition. Oh, and I still got I've still got the mask beneath there actually. So let's go into this and get rid of this mask, because we don't need to see it. So coming back here, moving forward, and there we go, we make a transition straight into the next piece there. That's obviously using effectively the trails of this Dymos to create a transition. So there we're probably about just about sort of 50% of the actual transition itself. And I think that's pretty neat. That looks pretty good. And that just about gives us the sort of effect that we were looking for. So there it is. All of that hard effort that I just put in gave me a unique and completely original form of transition straight into a new layer beneath it. And of course, any kind of cropping that you're doing, any kind of masking that's going to be taking place, it's the same thing. All you have to do is just make sure that the controlling piece is above the piece that you want to do the transition into, just to give you that transition effect like that. So there you are. I've got this on a sort of full resolution at the moment, so going to seem a little bit jumpy, but there you go. Blends through nicely. And there you are. Hope you enjoyed that. And like I say, may not be useful for everybody, but it's certainly something that's good fun to play with, to give you a unique look to any transitions and effectively any kind of text that you want to be using, or anything new, anything original. So with all those settings the way you want them, obviously as always, play with all of the settings. That's really what video editing and learning is all about, just to play with things, experiment with things, have a look at what you're working with, and you know, once you're happy with what you've got, I'd say you are, as always, good to go.